There was one rule in the house: never open the door at the end of the hallway. I should have left the moment I heard that. When I moved into the old Victorian in upstate New York, I wasn't expecting much, just a cheap room to stay in while I sorted my life out. I'd lost my job, my girlfriend, and most of my sanity in a matter of 3 months. So when I saw the ad, room for rent, quiet, private, no pets, cash only, it felt like a lifeline, or a noose. I still can't tell which. The house was beautiful in that forgotten, unsettling way. Peeling floral wallpaper, warped hardwood floors, the smell of old wood and something else, something faint, like rotting paper or dried blood. The kind of place where silence presses in on your ears, heavy and deliberate. The landlords, an elderly couple named Marjorie and Walter Whitmore, greeted me with blank expressions and brittle politeness. Marjorie had one eye that didn't quite focus. Walter didn't talk much, just stared like he was always listening for something. Or someone. The room I rented was upstairs, second on the left. But as they led me down the narrow hallway, I noticed a third door at the very end. It looked older than the rest, swollen into the frame with time. 3 deadbolts, all rusted shut. That's when Marjorie spoke, her voice flat but insistent. That door stays locked. You don't ask about it. You don't try to open it. You understand? I nodded. I didn't understand, but I nodded, because there was something in her tone, like if I asked why, she might actually tell me. And I didn't want to know. The first night I couldn't sleep. It wasn't the usual restlessness. It was this gnawing unease like I was being watched. I kept the lights off. The window cracked open just a little to let in the October air. But around 2:13 a.m., I woke up to something I can't explain. I didn't hear anything exactly. I felt it, like a pressure against my chest or a presence behind the walls. My room was silent, but the kind of silence that's wrong, the kind that screams in your ears because something's missing, something important. Like the sound had been taken away, not just absent. I stared at the ceiling for hours, afraid to blink. By the third night, I started hearing whispers. Faint, disjointed, like someone was standing behind the locked door mumbling. To themselves, I told myself it was just old house sounds, the pipes, the wind. But that same night, the whispers turned into scratching, slow, deliberate, like fingernails dragging down the inside of a coffin lid. I confronted Marjorie the next morning. "There's something in that room," I said. I heard. "You didn't hear anything," she snapped, eyes suddenly alert. "And if you keep hearing things, maybe this arrangement isn't right for you." She was smiling when she said it, but not with her mouth, with her eyes. And there was no warmth in them. Only warning. I should have left. I knew something was wrong, in the way that your gut screams before your brain catches up, but I didn't leave. Because part of me was curious, because I had nowhere else to go, because maybe I wanted to see what was behind that door. That's how horror works, isn't it? It seduces you. The final straw came a week later. I woke up drenched. In sweat, the blankets twisted around me like vines. My door was open. I never slept with it open. At first, I thought maybe I'd forgotten to close it, until I looked down the hallway. The door at the end, the silent room, was slightly ajar. Froze. My breath caught in my throat like a swallowed scream. From the crack in the door, something shifted. I didn't see it. Not fully. Just a suggestion of movement. Like a shadow, but wrong. It wasn't cast by light. It absorbed light. And then, 2 eyes, pale, lidless, glistening like pearls soaked in milk. They blinked. Not like a person, like an animal that had never seen the sun. I slammed my door shut, locked it, and pressed my back against it for the rest of the night. But I knew something had changed. The door had been opened, and I hadn't opened it. I didn't sleep after that. I barely moved. I just sat in my room with my back against the door, trying to convince myself that I had imagined it all. The eyes, the movement, the wrongness leaking through the hallway like poison. But the air had changed, thicker, staler, as if whatever had been locked behind that door wasn't just awake, but loose. The next morning, I went to confront Marjorie and Walter, but they were gone, not out shopping, not visiting anyone. Gone. The front door was unlocked. Dust coated the kitchen counters like no one had touched them in days. Their bedroom. Door creaked open to reveal a room stripped bare. Empty drawers, a closet with one wire hanger. No note, no explanation. Nothing. That's when I realized the truth. They hadn't lived there in a long time. They'd just been waiting, watching, keeping the door shut for as long as they could, until someone else came along. Someone stupid, someone like me. That night I tried to leave. I packed a bag and ran for the front door. But it wouldn't open. The lock clicked, but the door stayed shut, like it was fused with the frame. I tried. The windows, nailed shut. The back door, bricked over, like someone had sealed the house from the inside, and the house was breathing, not metaphorically. Breathing. I could feel the floorboards subtly rise and fall beneath my feet, as if the walls themselves had lungs and a heartbeat. I screamed for help, smashed furniture, threw my phone against the wall when it showed no service for the 5th time in a row. But the only thing that answered was the door at the end of the hallway, and the thing behind it. It didn't whisper anymore. It talked now. Clear, guttural, in a voice that wasn't made for human language. A voice like teeth scraping metal, like something learning how to mimic words it had only heard through cracks in wood and time. Let me out, it said it over and over. It said it over and until it didn't have to ask anymore. At 2:13 a.m., the door creaked open again, this time wider. I didn't mean to walk toward it, but I did. My feet moved without permission, my body stiff and trembling like a marionette on frayed strings. The hallway felt longer, the shadows thicker, the air colder. The smell hit me first. Decay, wet, old, alive, and then I saw what was waiting inside. I can't describe it, not fully. It was human in shape, but only in the way a scarecrow is human. Its limbs were too long, its skin too pale and tight like stretched wax paper. The head tilted wrong, too fast, and when it smiled, God. It didn't have a mouth. Just skin that, split open where a mouth should be, revealing rows of teeth that spiraled inward. It didn't lunge. It invited me. The room behind the door wasn't just a room. It was something else. Walls that stretched into dark infinity, covered in symbols. That bled. Whispers in every corner. Faces that blinked from the wood grain and disappeared. The air buzzed with memories that weren't mine. People who had stood where I stood, all gone now. Consumed. It showed me things. Flashes of everyone who'd ever opened the door. Screaming. Tearing their own faces off. Laughing as they sank into the floor. I saw Walter's body hanging from a rope of his own hair. Marjorie, digging out her eyes with a spoon. I saw me. Not now. Not yet. But soon. I turned to run. But there was no hallway anymore. Just darkness. And the thing was still smiling. Still opening. You let me in. Now let me out. It lunged. I woke up in my bed. Sunlight pouring through the curtains. My heart pounding. My mouth dry. Had it all been a nightmare? I looked around. My things were still in place. The air was still. Quiet. Too quiet. And then I noticed the hallway. The door at the end? Gone. Just smooth, painted wall, like it had never been there. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear knocking from where it used to be. Soft, measured, patient, and when I listen closely, I swear I hear my own voice whispering from the other side, "Let me out." I used to believe monsters only lived in stories. That changed the night I moved into 119 Craven Hollow Road. It was supposed to be temporary, a place to crash after the divorce, until I could get back on my feet. A two-story colonial tucked away, on the edge of a dying town in Pennsylvania, practically abandoned. The price was too good to be true. It always is. The real estate agent wouldn't even step inside with me. She handed me the keys through a half-cracked window and muttered, "Be careful with the basement." Then drove off like she couldn't get away fast enough. That should have been my first warning. The second was the smell. Old, damp, faintly metallic, like rust or dried blood. I chalked it up to mold and bad plumbing. The place looked fine, dusty, sure, and cold as hell, but structurally okay. Except for one thing. The mirrors. Every single one in the house was covered. Bed sheets, newspapers, duct tape, even the little medicine cabinet in the upstairs bathroom had been nailed shut. That night, I sat in the living room, surrounded by unopened boxes, drinking cheap beer, and trying not to feel the weight of the silence pressing in on me. There were no neighbors within shouting distance, no sounds of traffic or life outside, just wind brushing the eaves, and a low creaking that echoed from the hallway every 10 minutes like clockwork. I thought I was just paranoid. Fresh start, high stress, tired brain. But something was off. Every time I walked past one of the covered mirrors, I felt watched. Like something was standing just behind the fabric, waiting, breathing in sync with me, closer than reflection should be. The next morning, I tore the sheet off the mirror in the downstairs hallway. What I saw didn't make sense. It was me, yeah. Same eyes, same shirt, same tired posture. But my reflection wasn't moving. Not with me. It blinked slower, moved a second too late. When I lifted my arm, it hesitated, then copied. Almost like it was deciding whether or not it wanted to. I covered it again. I started hearing footsteps above me. At first I thought it was the old house settling. You know how they say that? Just the house settling? But this wasn't that. These were deliberate, dragging footsteps, slow and heavy, pacing the same path from one side of the upstairs hall to the other. At exactly 3:17 a.m., I tried ignoring it, until one night I crept up there with a flashlight, determined to prove to myself there was nothing, that it was just creaky floorboards. But the hallway was empty, all the doors closed, except mine, wide open, and the sheets I had used to recover, the mirrors, gone. That's when the dreams started. Horrible, feverish things. I'd see myself walking through the house, only everything was wrong. The walls were bleeding. The mirrors showed strangers. My voice would echo back at me in a different tone, deeper, older, like something wearing my face. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, hands trembling, the sound of whispering still clinging to the air like smoke. And always, that same number on the digital clock when I'd snap awake. 3:17 a.m. I thought about leaving. Hell, I even packed my bags once. But when I tried to start the car, the engine wouldn't turn, not even a click. I walked to town, 7 miles in the rain. By the time I got to the mechanic, he looked at me like I was crazy. "You live at Craven Hollow?" he asked, voice going dry. "Yeah. Why?" He didn't answer right away, just handed me a pack of matches and said, "If you're smart, burn it down before it learns your name." I laughed. Then he leaned in, voice barely above a whisper. "They don't haunt the mirrors. They wait in them, waiting for the right one." That night I ripped down every cover and stared into each mirror, I don't know why. Some part of me wanted to see it. Wanted to know if it was real or if I'd finally cracked. In the upstairs hallway, I found the largest mirror, a floor-length, antique with a blackened, warped frame. I stood there watching myself. It watched back. Then it smiled, but I didn't. I ran from that hallway like something was chasing me, because something was. Not in the air behind me, but in the reflection, moving with a hunger that didn't belong to my body. My reflection smiled, but I was screaming. You ever see something so wrong your brain just refuses to process it? That's what it felt like my mind was stuttering, glitching, trying to protect me from something it wasn't wired to handle. I locked myself in the bathroom and covered the mirror with a towel, sat on the floor, shaking, hands cramping from how hard I'd clenched them into fists, that thing wearing my face. It didn't just mimic me, it knew me. It had been watching, learning, studying the way I moved, the way I breathed, perfecting me. I started taping up the mirrors again. Every one. Layers of sheets, duct tape, towels, anything I could find. My hands moved fast, almost frantic, like I could feel its eyes on the back of my skull. But the more I tried to block them off, the more the house resisted. That night, I heard the whispering again. Closer this time. It didn't come from the walls or the ceiling. It came from the mirrors. I crept toward one, just one, thinking I could catch it in the act. I peeled back a corner of the fabric and saw darkness. Not my reflection, just black, like a tunnel, like an eye. And then it moved. A hand, pale and twitching, reached toward the glass from the inside. Long fingers, sharp nails dragging across the surface, scratching, like it was feeling for a weak point in the barrier. I stumbled back, knocking over a lamp. The crash echoed like thunder through the house, and suddenly the whispers stopped. Dead silence. Then, from the darkness of the mirror, "You're almost ready." That broke something in me. I stopped sleeping. I nailed shut the bathroom door. I covered every reflective surface, metal, glass, water. Hell, I even unplugged the TV. I moved through the house like a ghost, surviving on caffeine and fear, waiting for that thing to make its move. And it did. One night I woke to the sound of shattering glass. I bolted upright, heart pounding, just in time to see the hallway mirror, the big one, completely smashed, not broken, destroyed. Shards everywhere, but no blood, no impact point, just a jagged, empty frame, and a cold breeze blowing in, like the house had exhaled. I stood there, barefoot, surrounded by broken glass, trying to breathe. That's when I realized something that made my blood run cold. My reflection was still there, standing inside the shattered frame, whole, unaffected, and smiling. Then it stepped out. Its foot crushed the shards of mirror without hesitation, without pain, and when it looked at me, really looked at me, I understood. It wasn't a copy. It was a replacement. "I've waited so long," it whispered in my voice, twisted with joy. "But you're finally hollow enough." I ran, out of the house, through the woods, into the dark, barefoot and bleeding. I don't remember how far I went, only that I collapsed in a ditch miles from the property, sobbing and shaking like a child. A farmer found me at sunrise, said I was muttering something over and over. He didn't understand what it meant, but I do. It's wearing me now. No one believed me. They said I had a psychotic break, stress, isolation, sleep deprivation. I spent 2 weeks in a hospital, pumped full of antipsychotics and sedatives. When I was discharged, I went straight to Craven Hollow Road. But the house was gone. Not abandoned, not sold, just never existed. No listing, no history, not even a damn foundation. But sometimes, I catch glimpses of myself in shop windows or car mirrors, and my reflection, it still smiles, even when I don't. After they released me, I promised myself I'd stay away from mirrors. I told myself it was over, that the thing, whatever it was, had what it wanted. But evil doesn't just disappear, it waits, and then it remembers you. The first sign came one night while I was staying in a rundown motel on the edge of Cincinnati. Flickering lights, peeling wallpaper, a sink that leaked rust, no mirrors, intentionally. I was brushing my teeth using the reflection in my phone's black screen. The screen dimmed slightly, then went pitch black, but I still saw my reflection. He blinked, and I didn't. I hurled the phone against the wall, breathing hard, bile rising in my throat. I told myself it was exhaustion, trauma flashbacks. But somewhere deep down I knew. I wasn't alone anymore. Over the next few days, I started seeing it in other people. In the way a man froze in front of a glass storefront, staring too long at his own reflection. In the little girl crying in a diner bathroom because the mirror face said she couldn't leave. In the old woman at the bus stop who whispered to no one, "They're all stepping out now, one by one." It wasn't just me. It was spreading. I did everything I could to warn people. Online forums, late-night AM radio, podcasts, but it always got buried, laughed at. Creepypasta, they called it. RG, but I've seen it. The hollowing. The moment someone's eyes stop being their own. That split second when the body's still moving but there's nothing inside. And the worst part? They look exactly like you, down to the last breath. Then, it came for me again. One night I woke up in a cold sweat in yet another nameless motel, and I wasn't alone. Something was standing at the foot of the bed. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it. Like my organs knew before my brain did. My chest clenched so tight I couldn't scream, and then it spoke. But not aloud. It spoke inside my head. "You're wasting the skin. Let me wear it better." I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The mattress felt like quicksand dragging me down, down. My vision blurred, darkened. And in that moment, I saw a mirror. Cracked, bleeding. Not glass, flesh. It was showing me what I would become. What I'd already become. I reached up to touch my face, and it felt soft. Too soft. Like warm wax. Like I could press my fingers into it and reshape myself. Ran to the bathroom. The mirror was gone. But my reflection wasn't. It was still there, trapped inside the wall. Banging, screaming. Me, the real me. That thing in the mirror wasn't a ghost. It wasn't a demon. It was a version. A perfect, soulless version. And it had won. Because by the time I stepped away from the wall, I wasn't the one walking anymore. Now I live among you. I smile. I breathe. I laugh when it's appropriate, but I'm empty inside because something else is at the controls. And sometimes, late at night, when I pass by a window, I see him staring out, banging, screaming, begging someone, anyone to notice. But no one ever does. They just see me and smile back. Have you ever heard someone breathing in your house when no one else is supposed to be there? Not the wind, not creaking pipes. Breathing, wet, heavy, rhythmic, like someone asleep right beneath you, just out of reach. That's how it started. For me. It was around 2:43 a.m. I remember the time exactly because I was lying in bed staring at the ceiling, the pale blue of the digital clock burning into my eyes. I live alone. Just me and the house I inherited from my uncle in a sleepy Pennsylvania town called Ashcroft Hollow. Quiet place. Too quiet. Uncle Ray had no wife, no kids, just this rotting two-story house at the edge of a forest, buried in dead leaves and shadows. When he died, choked to death in his sleep, they said, I didn't cry. We weren't close. But I needed a place to live. And the price was right. Free. Free always costs something. That night, I hadn't slept. There was this smell. Mildew and something sweet. Like rot dressed in perfume. I kept thinking maybe something had died in the walls. I even checked the attic. But as I lay there in bed, I heard it. Ha. Ha. Slow, steady breathing. Under the floor. I froze. My body locked. It was directly beneath me, beneath the bed. No footsteps, no creaks. Just that wet, dragging inhale. And I could feel it too. A vibration in the wood, like lungs expanding just inches below the surface. Didn't move. Not until it stopped. Then it whispered, right next to my ear. Found you. I don't remember falling asleep. I think I blacked out from panic, but when I woke up, the room felt wrong. Like the air had been used already. Thick, warm, and tasted like copper. The bed was an inch to the left. The closet door was open, and the smell was worse. I tried to brush it off. Sleep paralysis, right? Maybe a waking dream. I forced myself into normalcy. Shower, coffee, errands. I didn't want to think about what I heard, but then I saw the footprints. Tiny, pale, bare feet. Not mine, not even adult-sized. Leading from the hallway into my bedroom. Each one perfectly placed in a trail of dust I hadn't even noticed until then, as if something had crawled out from inside the house itself. I followed them. They ended at my bed, and then vanished underneath. I moved out for a few days, stayed with a friend in the city. I didn't tell him much, just that the house was messing with me. He laughed. Told me to drink less coffee and lay off the horror podcasts. But even there, I kept waking at 2:43 a.m. No sound, just the feeling, like something had found me again. On the 5th night, I returned to Ashcroft Hollow. I needed answers, or closure, or maybe just my sanity back. I brought a crowbar and a flashlight. I was going to open the floor where I first heard the breathing. No more guessing. I started tearing it up plank by plank. The wood was soft, soaked from underneath. The smell was so thick it made me gag. Mildew and something else. I peeled back the last board and found nothing. Just dirt. But the dirt was moving, like it was breathing. Ha! Ha! Then a voice deep and close and inside my skull whispered again, You never left. That's when I saw the hand. Pale. Small. Wrinkled like old paper soaked in water. Reaching up through the soil, fingers twitching, scraping at the air. It wasn't trying to grab me. It was trying to pull itself out. I stumbled back, dropped the flashlight, and it spun across the room in a wild circle of shadows. That pale hand was still reaching out of the dirt, twitching, clawing, but it wasn't moving like a person would. It was slow, like something that had forgotten how to be alive. The worst part? The breathing never stopped. Ooh. Ooh. It was louder now, coming not just from below, but from inside the walls, behind me, beneath me. Above me. It felt like the house itself was alive, sucking in air with wet, desperate lungs, and then the whisper again, Let me out. The voice wasn't angry. It was sad. I should have run. I should have boarded the whole thing up and burned the place down. But something about that voice, some sick, twisted pity, kept me rooted to the spot. I reached down. The hand touched mine. Ice. It was ice. Not cold like winter. Cold like a corpse in a freezer. And the moment our skin met, my vision snapped. Out of the room, I saw everything. Uncle Ray, kneeling in this very room. Crying. Screaming. Holding something in his arms. A child. Small. Limp. Covered in blood and dirt. He was begging someone. Or something. I didn't mean to. He wasn't supposed to die. I did what you asked. Just bring him back, please. I gave you what you wanted. Then, silence. Except for the breathing. I snapped back to myself with a scream lodged so deep, in my throat it came out silent. The hand was gone. The floor was still open. The dirt still stirred as if something were burrowing beneath me. I staggered back, slammed the boards down, nailed them in place with whatever I had. Not because I thought I was sealing it away, but because I knew I'd opened it. That night I tried to sleep. I took pills. I drank. Nothing helped. At 2:43 a.m. my body woke up on its own. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. My eyes were open, fixed on the ceiling, and I heard the breathing again. But now, it wasn't under the floor. It was right beside me. A figure stood next to the bed. Short. Barefoot. Hair matted with dirt and blood. Its face. God, I wish I hadn't seen the face. The skin was stretched too tight. The mouth opened, too wide, like it was stuck mid-scream. But no sound came out, only breathing. It turned slowly toward me, and smiled. The paralysis broke all at once. I shot up, gasping, drenched in sweat. My throat was raw, like I'd been screaming for hours. There was dirt on my sheets, and under my fingernails. I hadn't dreamt anything. I started digging through my uncle's things, searching for any piece of the truth. I tore the basement apart, found an old chest hidden behind rotted insulation. Inside, journals, notes, a faded photograph, a child, maybe 6 or 7 years old, blonde hair, blank stare. On the back, scrawled in my uncle's handwriting, "He won't stay buried." The next page in the journal was a mess of frantic writing. The ritual requires silence. The breathing must not be disturbed. I made a mistake. I made a mistake. He's not what he was. He remembers me. He remembers everything. There were scratches gouged into the page, like fingernails had clawed at the paper, or something had written through him. The breathing hasn't stopped. It's in me now. I feel it in my lungs when I try to sleep. I hear it when I turn off the faucet, when I unplug the fridge. When the world goes quiet enough, it breathes through me, and it's not alone anymore. The air in the house has changed. It's heavier, soaked with something you can't see but feel crawling under your skin, like wet breath pressed against your neck. The lights flicker even when the power's off. My reflection in the hallway. Mirror doesn't always follow me. Sometimes it just stares. I haven't slept in days. And every night exactly at 2:43 a.m., I wake up gasping, not like I'm startled. No. It's like something pulls me awake. Like I've been drowning in my own body and finally breached the surface, choking. The worst part? I'm not the one doing the breathing anymore. Tonight, I tried something I swore I wouldn't. I went back down into the basement, armed with a hammer, nails, salt. Every desperate thing you Google at 3 a.m. when you're begging some unknown power for protection. I tore the boards up, ready to seal whatever it was back inside, to bury it deeper, kill it again. But the dirt was gone. There was a hole now, wide, gaping, like the earth itself had opened its mouth. And from its throat came a sound I will never forget, wet, gurgling like lungs filling with blood, a breathing that turned into a laugh. Then something began crawling out. I dropped the hammer. I couldn't move. It wasn't the boy this time. It was my Uncle Ray, or what was left of him. His face was slack, flesh hanging in strips like he'd been chewed on in the dark. His eyes were black, completely black, and leaking dirt like tears. His jaw moved but didn't line up with his mouth, bones shifting under the skin like something else was inside. "He let me out," it whispered. "Now you take my place." The basement door slammed shut behind me. The air dropped 20 degrees in seconds. My uncle lunged, not with arms but with roots, twisting tendrils of soil and bone that erupted from his chest like the earth itself had taken root in his corpse. They grabbed my legs, pulled me down to the edge of that hole, and from the pit, the boy emerged. But his eyes weren't black. They were mine. He opened his mouth, and a second voice spoke from inside him. It was me. A recording of my own voice, my screams, my dreams. Every time I'd spoken in the house, it had listened. It had learned. It was becoming me. I fought. I screamed. I clawed at the floor, splinters embedding under my fingernails as the dirt pulled me inch by inch toward the pit. "You woke him," my uncle croaked. "You breathed with him." Then everything went black. I woke up in my bed. Morning light streamed through the window. Was it a nightmare? I stood. The sheets were clean. No dirt. No blood. My phone worked. No missed calls. No screams. No signs of horror. Except, there was no sound in the house. No birds. No wind. No distant traffic. Nothing. Just breathing. Not from the walls. Not from the floor. From inside me. I turned toward the mirror. My reflection blinked before I did. It smiled, then without a sound, it opened its mouth wider than any human should, and I watched as the blackness poured out, not like smoke but like rotting breath made solid. My reflection stepped forward, pressed its hand against the glass from the other side. "Now it's your turn," it said with my voice. "I can't leave. I've tried. The house isn't just haunted. It's hungry. It needed someone new. It used me to wake the thing below, and now it wears my skin. So if you're watching this, if you found this footage, this story, this warning, don't breathe. Not in silence. Not in the dark. Because once you share your breath with it, it never lets you go, and when it comes for you, you'll hear it, just before you die, breathing. They always say home is where you're supposed to feel safe. That's bullshit. Let me tell you what really happened the night I realized something was living in my house, something that wasn't me, or maybe it was me, and that's what terrifies me the most. It started 3 nights ago in my small rental home just outside of Asheville, North Carolina. Quiet town, mountains, trees, the kind of place you move to when you're trying to start over. I had just gotten out of a toxic relationship. One of those breakups where you don't just lose the person, you lose pieces of yourself. So I moved, alone. No roommates, no pets. Just me and the silence. At first, I welcomed it. The house was old but charming. Creaky floors, tall windows, and that slightly crooked hallway that added character. But on that third night, the silence started to feel wrong, like it wasn't empty, just waiting. It was around 2:13 a.m. I know because I was staring at the blinking numbers on the microwave, the only light in the kitchen. Couldn't sleep. I'd been hearing this soft thud coming from upstairs. Over and over. Like something small dropping onto the floor, or being set down. Not enough to panic over, but just enough to keep you questioning your sanity. I told myself it was the house settling, or the neighbors, except I don't have neighbors that close. So I went upstairs, step by step, trying not to breathe too loud. My bedroom door was open just like I'd left it, but there was a smell, something faint and wrong. Damp wood. Rust. like old water had been sitting still for years. And then I saw it. My closet door was open. I never leave that door open. Something about it being ajar, just a few inches, made my skin crawl. It felt staged, like it had been opened deliberately, inviting me to look. I didn't move. I just stood there, staring at the dark seam of the closet, waiting for my eyes to adjust. That's when the bedroom light turned off. Click. Complete blackness. I didn't scream. Not then. My throat locked up, frozen in the kind of terror that keeps you dead silent, hoping whatever's in the room doesn't know you're awake. And then I heard the voice, soft, raspy, like someone trying to mimic the way I speak. "Why did you come back upstairs, Olivia?" My name. It said my name. I ran. I didn't even look behind me. I bolted down the stairs, heart hammering, lungs burning, nearly tripping over the bottom step. I slammed the front door shut, only to realize it was still chained from the inside. No one came in. No one could have come in. And yet, someone was upstairs pretending to be me. I didn't go back inside that night. I sat in my car, parked under a flickering streetlight, gripping the steering wheel with numb fingers. I watched the house like it was some kind of predator. Quiet, still, patient. I kept telling myself I'd imagined it. Sleep deprivation. Maybe the breakup was finally catching up to me. Maybe I was unraveling. But then I remembered the voice. The way it said my name like it knew me. No, like it was me. It wasn't just mimicry. It was something deeper, something intimate. When the sun came up, I forced myself back inside. The house looked normal, too normal, like it had covered its tracks. Closet door, closed. Bedroom light, on. No smell. No noise. No proof. But my toothbrush was wet. I hadn't brushed my teeth. I hadn't even gone back upstairs. Something had. I tried to go to work, but I couldn't focus. I kept replaying that moment over and over. The closet door, the whisper, the darkness pressing in on me like a second skin. When I got home, I did what anyone would do. I checked everything, every closet, every drawer, every crawl space. I even opened the attic, heart pounding so loud I thought I'd pass out. Nothing. I should have felt relief. But instead, I felt watched. Like the house was laughing at me behind its drywall skin. That night, I left all the lights on. TV blaring, bedroom door locked. It didn't matter. At 3:41 a.m. I woke up to my own voice screaming, only I wasn't screaming. I was lying there, frozen, heart jackhammering in my chest. And from somewhere inside the walls, I heard me. Screaming, begging, crying. It sounded like I was being ripped apart. I slammed the bedroom door open and followed. The sound, stumbling through the hallway like a drunk. The scream faded, twisted into laughter, my laughter, but distorted. Glitched, like a recording played backward through a dying speaker. It led me to the hallway mirror. I stopped cold in the reflection. I saw myself standing behind me, same hoodie, same messy hair, same wide, terrified eyes, but the reflection. It didn't move when I did. It didn't blink. It just smiled, and then, softly, it whispered inside my skull, "You're in my body now." I turned, fists clenched. Nothing was there, but the mirror still showed two of me, and I wasn't the one blinking anymore. I shattered the mirror, fist through glass, blood spraying across the frame like some kind of violent signature. My reflection fractured into a dozen jagged faces, each one still smiling. But even after the shards hit the floor, I still felt it. Her. The other me. She wasn't in the mirror anymore. She didn't need it. She was in me. For the next 2 days, things got worse. I started forgetting things. Little things at first, where I put my keys, what time I left the house, then bigger things. I'd find bruises on my arms I didn't remember getting, dishes in the sink I never used, the shower curtain soaked when I hadn't bathed. I'd check my phone and see texts I never sent. I'm fine, just tired. Don't call me. Everything's under control. But I hadn't spoken to anyone, not since that night. I was afraid to. I started setting traps for myself, recording myself while I slept, writing notes and leaving them on the fridge. This is the real you. Don't believe her. Don't. Look in the mirrors. But every morning the notes were gone, and in their place, written in my handwriting, something else. Stop resisting. You're embarrassing us. That's when I found the videos, on my laptop, footage I didn't remember recording. Me standing in the middle of the kitchen at 3:07 a.m., head tilted back, arms out like a puppet on strings. Eyes open, mouth slack. Then I spoke. She spoke. Through my body, voice calm, eerily motherly. This vessel was weak, but it's learning. I'm almost whole. Soon she'll just be a voice in the walls. I slammed the laptop shut. I wanted to run, but where? To who? Who would believe this? And by the next night, it was already too late. I woke up in the attic, naked, cold. My arms wrapped tightly around my knees like a child. It was pitch black, but I could feel her. Not beside me, not in front of me. Inside me. She wasn't pretending to be me anymore. She was me. And I was drifting. Watching through someone else's eyes as she moved my body with a grace I never had. She went to work. She smiled at people. She cleaned the house. And when I screamed from inside, she didn't flinch. That's the worst part. I'm still here, trapped. Screaming in the corner of my own mind, while something else wears my skin, smiles with my lips, answers to my name. And every night she visits the attic, looks me in the eyes through the reflection of a broken shard I managed to keep hidden. She kneels, leans in, and whispers sweetly, "Shh, you're home now." Then, she hums a lullaby in my voice. It started with the knocking, 3 sharp, deliberate knocks at my bedroom window. That wouldn't be strange if I didn't live on the 3rd floor. At first, I thought I imagined it, a dream maybe. But when I looked at the window, I saw the condensation from my breath, and something else. 3 small smudges like fingertips. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. My name is Eric Matthews. I'm 27. And up until a few weeks ago, I lived alone in a brownstone apartment in Baltimore. I'm a software engineer, quiet, kind of a recluse. I like silence. I like control. I don't do weird. I don't do ghost stories. But something came into my life that doesn't care what I believe. It wants in. The first week, it was little things. Flickering lights, my TV turning on by itself, the smoke detector going off in the middle of the night. My landlord blamed old wiring. I wanted to believe that too, but it escalated. I'd hear footsteps upstairs, heavy, dragging feet, when I was certain I was the only tenant left in the building that weekend. Doors would creak open slowly, deliberately, not blown by air. Opened. Then came the dreams. No. Not dreams. Memories that weren't mine. I'd wake up soaked in sweat, heart pounding with flashes in my head. Dark hallways, damp walls, something crawling behind me. And her voice, low and rasping, whispering my name like it was her final breath. Eric. Let me in. Every morning, I'd find something moved. The silverware drawer completely rearranged. My shirts turned inside out. My phone, locked, with a passcode I never set. and every time I looked in the mirror, it felt like my reflection took just a second too long to catch up. I started recording everything. I set up an old baby monitor I found in storage, linked it to my phone. I needed proof. I needed to feel like I wasn't losing my mind, and that's when I heard it. On the first night of recording. 49 a.m. From the monitor came a sound I will never forget. Breathing. But not mine. Ragged, wet, hungry. Coming from directly beside my bed. I rewound the audio again and again, staring at the monitor feed. Nothing there. No movement. No figure. But the sound. It grew louder every time I hit play, like it knew I was listening. That night, I slept, with the lights on, clutching a hammer like a child holds a teddy bear. I told myself I'd get out of there. Break the lease, crash at my sister's. Anything. But the next morning, when I reached for my phone to call her, it was gone. And written, in lipstick on the bathroom mirror, were 3 words I hadn't seen since I was a kid. Ready or not. I tore the apartment apart looking for my phone. Under the couch, in drawers, the fridge. I even checked the goddamn toilet tank. Gone. I don't know why, but I started whispering to myself, like saying it out loud would make it less real. It's just stress. You're tired. You misplaced it. But deep down I knew. That thing took it. The same thing that left smudges on my window. The same thing that breathed into my ear while I slept. The same thing that now knew my name. The I. Mirror was still foggy from the shower I didn't take. Ready or not, written in a red, greasy smear. The letters looked fresh, like they were still melting. I grabbed a towel and wiped it off, but the words didn't smear. They didn't fade. They just sank into the glass. I stumbled back, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. My legs felt like water. I left the bathroom and noticed something even worse. My front door was wide open, not unlocked, open. Baltimore isn't exactly known for friendly neighbors. I should have been scared of a break-in, but I wasn't. I was terrified that whatever was in my apartment wasn't outside anymore. I closed the door, locked every bolt, wedged a chair under the handle. Then I ran to my laptop, praying to any God left that it would still connect to the baby monitor. If I couldn't find my phone, maybe I could at least see what happened while I slept. It loaded. The screen was still. Quiet. Until it wasn't. 3 a.m. The timestamp blinked red. The camera picked up movement. Not in the bed, not at the door. Under the bed. Something long and pale slid out. Slowly, deliberately. A human shape, but wrong. Bones too sharp. Joints bending the wrong way. Hair long and wet, clinging to its back like seaweed. And it was, smiling, wide, unbroken. A grin stretched too far. It crawled out and stood, tall and slow, like it hadn't moved in years. It walked toward me, toward the bed where I was sleeping. And then, it leaned in close to the camera and whispered, "Almost ready." The screen went black. My laptop died, no warning, no low battery, just dead. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Every sound felt like it was breathing. The walls creaked like lungs. The air had weight, like I was being watched from every corner at once. At 4:17 a.m., my bedroom door creaked open. Slowly, like someone was savoring the sound. Sat up, sweating, eyes locked on the hallway. There was nothing there. But then, from just beyond the doorway, I saw fingers curl around the edge of the wall. Long, crooked, impossibly thin fingers. They tapped once, twice, 3 times. Like they were knocking, but from inside the apartment. I couldn't move. My body screamed to run, but I was frozen, like my muscles had been replaced with wet cement. My heartbeat wasn't just pounding, it hurt, like it was trying to punch its way out of my chest. The fingers curled back behind the wall. Silence. I don't know how long I sat there. Seconds, minutes, an hour. And then I heard it. Dragging. Something heavy scraping across the floorboards, slowly, toward my room. It didn't come through the doorway. It didn't need to. The lights flickered, and in the instant between on and off I saw it, that thing, standing at the foot of my bed. Its head was tilted, mouth still pulled into that impossibly wide grin. Its eyes were pure black, like holes burned into reality. Skin stretched too tight across its face, like it was wearing it for the first time. It reached toward me. Not fast, not violent, just inevitable. And then it spoke, but not in a voice, in my head. You've been preparing me, every night, every scream, every fear. I tried to scream, but my jaw wouldn't work. Tears streamed down my face as it leaned closer. Now I'm ready. The world bent. I swear to God, the air folded, my walls cracked open like eggshells, and darkness poured in. Not shadows, absence, like light and warmth and life had never existed. Suddenly I was on the floor, alone. The thing was gone. The room was still. The door was closed. Everything looked normal, except I wasn't alone. I felt it. Something inside me, not like possession. Worse, like something had nested in my mind, laid eggs in my thoughts. Every time I blinked, I saw it again. Its grin, its black eyes. I tried to leave, packed a bag, walked outside. But the street didn't look right. My neighbors weren't moving. They just stood there, in their yards, facing their houses. All of them. Motionless. Silent. As I passed by, their heads turned in perfect sync to watch me. And one of them, my neighbor Claire, opened her mouth and whispered, "Ready or not?" I moved out that night, left the city, changed my name. I've been sleeping in motels, never the same one twice. But it doesn't matter, because last night, in the bathroom mirror, it was written again, in that same red, greasy smear, "You're ready now." And this time, the reflection smiled back. If you've survived this far and you're one of those who love fear and terror, then don't waste any time. I kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any content. The video you're watching on screen is just a taste of what's coming. Watch it. Thank you for being here, and see you next time, if you're capable of handling what's to come.